Let me introduce presentation of our paper, Simulation of the Attractiveness of Transport Services as a Tool for Assessing Consumer Loyalty in the Digital Epoch. The authors of this paper, Nestor, Shpak, Oksana, Mykytiuk, Zoriana, Dvulit, Liana, Maznyk, and Natalia, Horbal. The digital initiatives used in the study as a tools for assessing the loyalty of consumers of transport services made it possible to determine the feasibility of introducing additional services. The driving forces for adoption of the latest information technologies and digital tools for competitive positioning of transport companies are identified. Study of consumer preferences based on simulations the attractiveness of transport services in the field of rail transport led to a conclusion that the development of digital technologies will remain a key factor influencing consumers' choice. A model of multidimensional analysis of transport services attractiveness based on analysis of structure of consumers and the degree of satisfaction with the quality of such services by certain consumer groups was developed. It was proven that the development of digital technologies and services for passengers may improve the ability of the railway companies to address new challenges related to quarantine restrictions. The main business entity in the market of passenger rail transportation in Ukraine is a joint stock company Ukrzaliznytsia. According to the official data, this type of transport provides almost 50% of passenger traffic and its leading industry in the road transport sector of the country. According to the State Statistics Service of Ukraine, the volume of passengers transported by rail in 2001-2019 fell down. The decrease in the number of transported consumers in 2019 compared to 2001 by 68.202% indicates a significant loss of competitive advantages of this mode of transport. This indicates the need to generate new ideas and implement modern practices to improve consumer services. The results of the study are obtained of multidimensional through the use of multidimensional statistical analysis, which determines the quantitative side of mass phenomena and processes at a higher level, comprehensively classifies and groups multifaceted objects, recognizes new ones, and allows to identify latent qualities of objects. In our study, multidimensional statistical methods are applied through the solution of the following problems. First, selection of groups of objects with a similar combination of features, structure of consumers of transport services. Second, selection of groups of features that the best reflect the image of the hidden indicator, degree of consumer satisfaction. Third, compression of an initial space of features without significant loss of information, attribution of corresponding attributive characteristics by Kano types. Fourth, measuring the closeness of the relationships between the groups of functional and dysfunctional responses of respondents. The fifth, selection and use of a scale for assessing functional and dysfunctional responses, as well as a scale for assessment responses on consumer preferences. The implementation of these tasks involved conducting a survey of user services of joint stock company Ukrzaliznytsia on the level of satisfaction with the services. Respondents were grouped by the following characteristics: age, main occupation at present, internet access, place of residence. The results of grouping show that the young people aged 18-29, it was 64%, are the most active in using the railway services, and the largest share by occupation is accounted for the students, 49%. This should be taken into account when studying the relationship between services quality and consumer satisfaction, as the incomes of young people, students, and pupils are quite limited. According to the result of grouping by the internet access, only 1.8% of respondents do not have it. 9% use the internet only at home, and almost 90% of respondents use it both at home and at work. This is a critical feature when assessing the attractiveness of booking tickets through mobile applications. The sample consists mainly of residents of regional centers and the capital, 55% and 18% respectively, who have traditionally been quite demanding on the quality of goods and services. The shares of those living in rural areas and district centers are 16% and 11% respectively. A detailed analysis of the structure of respondents is an important step in conducting a multidimensional analysis of the attractiveness of transport services. The next step is to study the quality of services provided and the degree of consumer satisfaction. This stage was implemented using the Kano model. The Kano model defines the interaction between the goods and services and consumer satisfaction in maintaining the quality of product functions. The Kano method was used to study the rail transportation services of Ukrzaliznytsia as the largest provider in Ukraine. All possible combinations of respondents' answers and the corresponding type of a product attribute are summarized in the table you can see in this slide. So three groups of questions were prepared that would help improve the quality of service provided, increase the attractiveness of rail transport, and as a result, raise the company's competitive advantages. They covered the possibilities of online reservation, of purchasing food during the travel, and of using mobile applications for booking, registration, and payment. According to the Kano's methodology, these questions describe three functional characteristics of railway services: positive, negative, and evaluative, reflecting the degree of satisfaction with the response of different ages, social groups, place of residence, and internet access were interviewed. The next step is counting the number of times when an attribute has been assigned to a category. The result of these calculations allowed the distribution of these characteristics between the types of Kano. The analysis was continued by determining the importance of each functional characteristic for consumers of railway transportation services. As a result, this made possible to visualize the distribution of response preferences. And as a result of Kano's analysis of three attributive functions, which were proposed for implementation at joint stock company Ukrzaliznytsia, it was determined that such a service as a possibility to purchase food while traveling by rail is not important for respondents. Consumers treat this service as unimportant, which is also explained by the structure of served consumers. In contrast, online booking of services and the use of mobile application for booking were rated by consumers as equally important, which is why the graphs of these attributes almost match as one-dimensional functions. As a result of increasing the functionality of such attributes, consumer satisfaction with their use increases. So, in conclusion, the study showed that for online booking services and the ability to use mobile applications to book and pay for train travel, there is a need for their constant use and improvement as one-dimensional function to maximize the quality of service. It is a development of such function that the company needs to pay attention to within the policy of product improvement and increasing the competitive advantages of passenger transportation by rail. When using multidimensional methods in research, the following methodological issues can be addressed: development of conceptual formulation of task and direction of research, formulations the substantial of the system of indicators that characterize the object of study, implementation of the algorithm of the corresponding multidimensional method with the use of practical data, usually through special computer programs, Statistica, SPSS, SysTap. In this study, Google Sheet with Kano calculator was used. Interpretations of the obtained research result, development of a set of recommendations for the problem solving. Tastes and preferences of consumers are dynamic characteristics, which requires their constant monitoring. Therefore, the proposed model of attractiveness of transport services is not universal, but is quite flexible and can be adapted to specific conditions and objectives of studies. Thank you very much for your attention.